Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Up Supercast Game Club. My name is Brandon, and I am your host. And joining me today, I have Ills.
You can now call me Ills Head Ills.
And I've got Will.
Word.
And, of course, I have the guy who picked the game that we played this week. I have Noah.
I'm your little invisible musical friend.
Very good, gentlemen. Welcome. Glad you guys can join me. Welcome, everybody listening. We played a video game this week here on the Game Club, because that's what we do here. Every 2 weeks we play a game, and we come here and talk about it. And this time, we played Skullmonkeys on the PlayStation 1. And we take turns picking games, and Noah picked this game. This Skullmonkeys was released on the PS1 back in 1998, January 31st in North America, and February 20th in Europe. Never made it outside of Japan.
Sorry, Japan?
Never made it outside. I said never made it outside of Japan because I'm so used to saying that.
Never made it outside the West for once.
Right.
Well, last week we played a game that never made it outside Japan, so it's time for the West's revenge.
Right, finally. It was developed by the Neverhood Inc. And published by Electronic Arts. EA.
Weird EA game to publish.
Challenge everything.
Well, this was early, what was it, 90s? When did it come out
98.
again? Yeah, 90s.
Yeah.
So this is when before EA went to shit, kind of.
Well, they still, make video games, but, they I guess they don't publish as many games as they used to.
Yeah.
Also, DreamWorks Interactive helped work on this game. And this game's it's a platformer. It's a 2D platformer. It's actually a sequel to another game, and that other game is called The Neverhood. And that game's an adventure game, like a point-and-click title. And it's very different. So you play as Clayman, I think his name is.
I think so.
Yeah. They don't really tell you too much.
They never really say it.
Yeah, but his name's Clayman. He was the star of the original game of The Neverhood. And I'm not familiar with that game, although I am familiar with just the character, just seeing him. Just, okay, well, I recognize this guy. I've seen him around. So you play as him in this game again in the sequel, and it's a 2D platformer. And really, you battle these things called the Skullmonkeys, which is, what the name of the game is. Yeah. And not having played the other game, the intro just kind of shows a bad guy land on this planet. And he's like, I'm going to be the king of the Skullmonkeys, and I'm going to destroy the Neverhood. Okay. Well, one of the Skullmonkeys is very smart, and he sends out a distress signal, and it picks up Clayman and kind of forces him to the Skullmonkeys planet, which is conveniently located extremely close to the Neverhood. And it's his job to stop this guy from destroying the Neverhood. Although I don't really know who the guy is, but apparently I did a little bit of research. He's a bad guy from the first game.
Yeah.
Yep.
Congrats.
Yeah.
You gleaned way more from the intro than I did. I was just like, there are Skullmonkeys. Okay, I got that much, and that was about it. And that was the cutscenes in this game are very charming, but I would not say there is a strong narrative through line.
No, it's a very simple.
But it's also one of those.
Just gives you.
Doesn't need it,
No.
Yeah.
Right.
When I beat the final boss,
all the charm is in the visuals itself. It's all claymation, which is very unique, and I love it a lot.
Yeah.
Before we really get into that, Noah, I mentioned that you picked this game, and I just want to go to you just saying why you picked the game real quick.
Yeah. Well, this was a childhood game, Noah's childhood game, PS1 era. Yeah, another one. This was a good one. And as a kid, I only was able to I guess it was not even halfway through, I guess, somewhere. I remember Joe Head Joe, but and I never beat it, but I always I really enjoyed it. It always made me laugh, the music, the creatures, everything about this game. Like I was very entertained by it, so I wanted to come back to it and finally finish it all the way through.
And you did.
We all did, I think.
We all did.
Yeah, we all did.
We all did. It's not a terribly long game, which was a nice change of pace here on the Game Club. And it was about probably like 4 or 5 hours, maybe.
Yeah.
It seems longer than it actually is when you're playing it.
Well, I mean, those fucking difficulty spikes come out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
It's a lot of levels, but they vary in length very, very widely.
right, because there's 17 like levels, but there's stages
Worlds.
within the levels.
Yeah, there's like 2 or 3 within each one, yeah.
Yeah, and some of them seems like there's 100 because you just want the level to be over. especially in some parts of the game. But yeah, you mentioned the art style in this game, and it's all claymation.
Right?
And it, that stop motion kind of claymation look, and it looks really cool. It really obviously pops out like the first thing you notice when you start the game up. And for its time, I think it looked really, really good.
Oh, yeah, looks really good.
Yeah, it still looks good. I'd
Yeah.
say.
It's been like the animations are surprisingly smooth for claymation.
Yeah.
It's like they did a really good job on it.
It's funny because the guy who, I don't know if you guys played the Genesis Aladdin game growing up.
Yeah, the Virgin Interactive guys.
Yeah. It's the
Yeah.
same guy that did the animations in that game that did the animations for this game. And like I remember when I played it, I was like, the animations are super smooth in Aladdin, and like clearly he was able to bring that forward to this, where like, I love just whenever you do 3 bounces off an enemy, he'll just, as he's going up, go into like a nice little like lay flat, like stare at the camera thing.
Yeah.
And there's stuff like that that's really cute details throughout it.
Yeah, it makes a little woo, like a bird noise when he does it.
Yeah. Oh no, the bird noise is from like the checkpoint bird.
Yeah.
It's like, "Brr." I love like all the noises, like the sound effects and like the little like visual cues and everything. It's just so fun to watch and to listen to. Like the music in general, like I love it too, especially the bonus levels.
Oh yeah, the bonus level song is great. Yeah, this game has a lot of charm. Like surprisingly, it's sort of like I think we mentioned this before in a different game, but it's sort of like that same Tim Burton style. Tim Burton, I'm thinking of.
Yeah, I can see that.
Kind of,
Tim Burton worked with like claymation with like
Yeah.
Nightmare Before Christmas and Corpse.
Yeah.
Bride and
Yeah,
stuff.
that's what I mean. Yeah,
Yeah.
very
For
much
me-
like the Nightmare Before Christmas.
Yeah. For me, it's also very like, it's very much, you can tell this came out in the year 1998 because there was sort of this like, in cartoons in general, I feel like there was like gross out stuff was sort of all over the place, and Ren and Stimpy was a thing, a bunch of sort of stuff in that vein. I mean, this game has a cutscene where Clayman just eats a can of beans for like 30 seconds while it plays beans. They're good for your heart the whole time, right? Like,
Yeah.
they're very
It randomly cuts to like real images of beans. It's like
yes.
Yeah.
And there's very much a sort of going for that, just like, hey, we're just being weird and off the wall, and like no one's gonna tell us no. I mean, that's sort of like, there was interviews about this game, and they talk about the music specifically, and like, what's his name, the composer, I forget his name, but like he didn't do a lot of work in video games. He basically only did stuff for this company.
The composer of this game. Oh no, it's a different guy. I was gonna say Tommy Tellerico, but he worked on a different game.
Yeah. But like, but the thing was, what they said, like, he kept giving us things that like aren't video game songs, but like we kind of love that they aren't video game songs. Like that's part of the fun, is that like you go to the bonus room, you're not expecting what you hear. Like,
Oh my god, no.
and that's part of the charm of the game, is that it will continually throw you off, in both good and bad ways sometimes.
Yes. And also, I just want to mention, editor's note, I did make a mistake. The game did make it to Japan, actually. I mean,
Oh.
No,
like,
fuck.
it came to Japan 6 months later, but not as Skullmonkeys.
Mm-hmm.
It
Wasn't
came
it, like,
to Japan as
Neverland
Clayman
2
2.
Oh,
Clayman 2.
Okay.
That's why I thought it didn't come to Japan, because it didn't come to Japan as Skullmonkeys. It was under a different name. So they, I guess, probably the neighborhood was probably called Clayman in Japan. So they just
Probably,
kind of
yeah.
wanted to keep the
Maybe.
continuity going there.
I think it's interesting they mentioned also in that, when I was reading interviews, that like a lot of the enemies in particular, they took action figures and like stuck clay on top of them to sort of like give them their general shape. So because they wanted to make them feel more exaggerated. Like action figures are already exaggerated in their shape,
Yeah.
but like it's even more so now. And I thought that was a really neat idea for like how to sort of go about the design.
That is really cool. I didn't know that. But they had mostly skull. Like the beginning of the game, it's Skullmonkeys, right? Are the enemies?
Yeah.
Then like halfway through the game, you get different versions of the Skullmonkeys too. Ones that attack differently, and eventually you get like insects.
Yeah, when you get to the garden, that's where the first difficulty spike comes in.
Yeah.
Like halfway through the game.
So there's not a lot, and you get bosses. There's boss battles.
No, that's not
yeah.
halfway. That's like 1/4 through the game. That's a fucking long game. Like for the difficulty spikes, you get like at least 3 of them, and they're like the garden was the first one. And that's like the 5th level out of 17 levels. Yeah.
Yeah. The 5th world.
The thing that is that they labeled them. And so like, but like you said, like the garden is there's this moment where you're sort of like, I think you sort of alluded to it, but like I spent probably 20% of my time in this game in like 3 levels, and that's not proportional, like there was somewhere I just blew through it and I was like, okay. And I kind of want to go back to those, like I really like the Mount Rushmore level, or is the Mount Skullmonkeys, whatever they call it.
Oh yeah.
Because I just liked the part 1 to part 2, like I liked how it changed. But then there's like, I don't know if you guys had problems with this one, but I forget what it's called, like the castle, the one where it's all the big red background and everything's black up front.
All right, with the guys with the spears who poke up at you.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't that hard. It's just kind of hard to see, and that was annoying.
Yeah.
And the fact that the checkpoints were also like hidden.
Yeah, hidden.
So
It's hard to spot. Yeah.
Yeah,
that was dumb.
And I had that problem like a few times where they had this like, and throughout the game there's like this foreground layer that'll scroll by, and sometimes it gets in the way. You can't see an enemy or an item or something. It just kind of it scrolls as you walk, and it just gets in the way. But because they had a lot of background, foreground stuff, and they even had a level where you kind of jump back and forth between the two. Or was it you get small and then
small.
Yeah, you get small.
Yeah.
So there are some enemies you can't like stomp on while you're small that you can while you're big and stuff.
But you do get some certain power-ups which are really fun. You can shoot this like little laser ball like straight ahead. Then you have these clay birds that are like homing missiles kind of thing. Yeah. Then you got the fart clayman, which is basically a clone of you that you basically make a self checkpoint and you proceed with your fart clone.
I really liked that.
Yeah, that was actually really good for like sections where like it looks like it's gonna be fucking hard and you don't want to risk dying, so you just produce a fart clone and like kind of like scout ahead kind of thing and like find out what the timing is of like where you have to jump and all that. That's really useful for that. Like that's pretty interesting. At the beginning I was like, why the fuck would I use this? But later on when I got to the harder levels I was like, oh, okay.
Right.
And then the best power up of all is the freaking nuclear was it a nuke? I guess
it's called the enema is the weirdest thing.
Yeah.
Like in the
but
game.
It's basically he stops all the enemies on the screen. He fucking becomes this giant buff muscular clay man and fucking just explodes everything on the screen.
Yeah, it's definitely cool. The one thing I had a problem with the fart clone was that you could never tell how much time you had left with it.
Yeah.
So sometimes you would just get out of the clone mode and you'd suddenly be where your clone was, and you could like be right before you die. Like you could be falling and turn into regular version.
Clayman. Yeah.
It'd be unfortunate timing.
I think the only other problem I had with the items in general is a lot of them were cool and useful, but I just kept finding myself, getting myself into a situation where when you get game over, you lose every item you have.
Yeah.
And then it just became, okay, well, I had these items, now they're gone forever, and it was just an endless loop of I'm stuck in this really hard part of the game, and it would be really fucking helpful to have these items, but I don't have them anymore, so I have to get through it in the hardest way possible.
Yeah, the parts where you need it are the parts you don't have it.
Right, because you get a game over, and they're all gone.
Yeah.
Yeah, for the most part, yeah.
Like,
the items can make things a lot easier if you have them, but it just sucks when you don't.
When you don't, right? You're like, okay, now it's already a hard section, but you're making it even harder on me when I get a game over. Now, it's going to be way harder than if I didn't. And yeah, I felt at the end of the game too. There was like the last level was extreme platforming challenge, with like barely any enemies, but I had fucking items up the ass.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, okay, now
Yeah,
I
that
have
was
all the
weird.
items
Like,
to
it
work.
got all these birds, lasers, and nukes, and I was just like, what am I gonna use these for? There's
Yeah,
only, like,
now I don't need
It's all
5 enemies.
platforming.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the items
funny.
max out too.
Thank God it's Infinite continues, though, because that fucking final level, the
Yeah.
last level in the final world was just, like, pixel
Yeah.
perfect timing platforming. It was
And it's
ridiculous.
not even like it's not the last level. It's the last jump of the last level. It's
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
fucking
The end
brutal.
of the game too.
yeah.
Because they have these holograms that pop out, and they disappear really fast. And like,
It's like
and-
you step on a platform and it's like a timer. So it's like hologram platform, so you have to like really time it perfectly.
Yeah, and in that last section, you have to manage the time of 2 different platforms. Oh man, and you
Yep.
have to like do these short hops, but the platforms are moving, and if you jump at the wrong time, you're gonna get a super jump, and then you're gonna waste all your time in the air.
Yeah, and you'll die because some of them they'll like have you free falling underneath. You know, there's nothing to catch you.
Yeah, it's fucking brutal.
yeah,
Yeah,
it
like-
is. Sorry,
Go
sorry,
ahead. Go ahead. No, go ahead.
I was gonna say that it's funny to me also because like normally it was just a minor thing, but like it was funny that you beat the boss. What is the last boss? And then there's just the level after it. Like normally you're so used to like last level, here's the boss, but it's like
Yeah.
no, the last boss is this whole thing. Like it's just struggling against this final level, like you said, with all these jumps that require extreme precision, right? Like and the game, you know, largely there was a couple times where it reared its head, like there. The game doesn't have the tightest of controls, right? Like there's a little bit of floatiness, but like it's normally fine because you get used to it. That's the
Yeah.
one part where you're like, no,
That's the thing, right? Because like the controls aren't super tight, but it works fine until you get into a section where they require it to have extremely precise controls. That's when you're like, this is an issue now.
Yeah. And
Thank
that
God it was only
mostly-
that last level.
Well, no, like every difficulty spike was centered around that, basically.
Yeah, like there was a level with
The floating level, like they required you to land on these very small platforms and like in between other enemies, like you know, going up and down. It's fucking nuts.
the part where the
Yeah.
bird helps slow your descent.
Yeah.
That part.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was one
Oh,
level too with the vines that you had to keep climbing on too.
Right. Yeah.
And that was
Yeah.
a real pain in the ass for me.
Yeah.
Oh, the vines like kind of weird. They just needed patience. Like they will, on one side they would like they go from left to right. That part.
Yeah.
But not but
like-
yeah, the one where you have to float with the wind and the bird.
Oh yeah.
That level was just insanity for me.
Yeah.
That and the final level were the most frustrating.
Like it was good. It was good on a challenging standpoint, but like it maybe too much. Like it went too far in one end. I don't know.
Yeah, and it's fine, you know.
I can definitely
offering
see it
that.
because you're used to like breezing through the other levels, so it like seems like it's super difficult compared to them. But yeah,
Well, yeah, it was,
it's
like,
definitely a
uneven.
lot more challenging. That's for sure.
Yeah, because I would beat a really difficult part of the game, and then I would like steamroll through like 5 or 6 levels, and I'd be like, okay,
Yeah.
wow, okay, all right. This is easy now again, and then it just like I hit that wall again, and I'm like, god damn. And yeah, I think the problem is like we mentioned, where it's fine, it's throwing that challenge at you, but when part of it, you realize more of it has to do with just kind of like if the controls were tighter, it would have been easier to do these challenging parts. I feel like
It would be more
Just-
challenging, less frustrating, right?
Yeah.
But when you're fighting, it's the controls as well as the level design. That's where you feel the
Yeah,
frustration.
and like we mentioned, they're not bad by any means.
No.
It's just they could be certainly could be tighter.
Yeah.
He could be less floaty and kind of slippery with the running too, where you can't. It's a little. It could just be tighter. That's all.
Yeah.
The only thing I can think about.
Yeah.
In terms of it.
I mean, that's one of those things that I feel like, because I mean, I don't know how big Neverhood Inc. was, right? But it feels like that's one of those things that happens a lot when like the people within your company are playtesting, right? Because this happened a lot back in the 90s. Like people that would just play the levels when they weren't working on other things.
Yeah.
But like if you play the game a whole lot, everything feels normal. Like
Yeah.
this was like, oh, this is fine. Like I know all this stuff by heart. But it's that thing of like, if you have an outsider looking in, maybe.
They'll have a completely different point of view. Yeah, like they'll have a completely different experience than the guy that actually develops the game. I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. And I mean, and the thing is, and I don't know how big the team was, but like, it's a solid experience regardless.
Yeah.
It reminded me a lot of Donkey Kong Country. like obviously not as polished, but the platforming sections and just like the scale of the environments and stuff like that. It reminded me a lot of it. I don't know.
It's because I had that too. I had a lot of different thoughts, like because sometimes there was Donkey Kong. I got that vibe. Obviously, Earthworm Jim, because a lot of the people that worked on Earthworm Jim also worked on this game. But also, like, I got like just in the general tone of it, a lot of Rayman 2 vibes, because it's this kind of like weird, dark, goofy world, you know, like, and so there was sort of a lot of different things that, I mean, we're all coming around at the same time, but I think all sort of share this similar sort of tone in my head, at least. I don't know if they were inspired by
like a tone and atmosphere. Yeah, could definitely see that.
Yeah. I wanted to give a shout out to, you know, we mentioned it a little bit, but the little videos that show up every few levels, those are so well done. Like, they provide a lot of, you know, just comedy and fun, like lightheartedness to the game. Like,
it feels like that's the reward for completing the levels and the sections. It feels like really nice.
Yeah, and even though they're not like strictly related to whatever story is going on in the game, it's a nice little break. It's pretty fun.
I mean, you can tell that they love this. They love Clayman. And he's a good design. Like he's a charming guy, and so you know, like whenever they have these little animations and these little cutscenes, like the design of the world really shines.
Right. Also, really shout out to the nightmare that is Joe Head Joe.
Joe Head Joe, best boss.
Definitely not the best boss. Don't even Google search this guy. He's horrible.
What a nightmare of a creature. So Joe Head Joe is actually one of the developers of the game.
Yeah.
In the credits, they have him as Joe Head Joe, like Santa Bria, I noticed. And I was like, oh, there he is. There's the nightmare himself.
Yeah.
God.
It's just one man's head with little arms and legs and a skull monkey head on the top of his head.
Yeah, it's literally just a skull monkey that has a giant head as his crotch.
Yeah.
Right, but it's like a super realistic photo. It doesn't make sense in the world.
Yes, it's literally a photo of this man.
And he has such the most blank expression. He's just like he's so just like, yeah. All right, this is normal, and like the fact that he's not making goofy faces makes it even more weird, you know?
Yeah, and you're just battling this thing that's photorealistic, and you're like, this just is. It's got that weird, like almost creepy vibe, you know? And
that's very creepy.
Also, he looks a lot like Canadian's own Drake. He looks a lot.
That's true.
Like
I had that thought too. I also like that there was a level. The 5th level was called Skullmonkey Brand's Hot Dogs, which. There was not like a lot of hot dog elements in the level. It just kind of reminded me of the hit Limp Bizkit album, Chocolate Starfish and the Hot Dog Flavored Water. But like, it was just like, it's that thing of like, this is clearly an in-joke to someone, but I'm not in on the joke. You know?
Like a hot dog factory when there was like little hot dog pieces floating around in this gross brown water.
Yeah, it was like a meat, factory industry kind of thing. And it's just gross kind of thing. It's like that's what I liked. Like each world was like very like distinct as well.
Yeah. I mean, generally, I like that, and I like that each world had a lot of the worlds had their own specific mechanic that they wanted.
Yeah, like a gimmick.
Yeah, like a little gimmick, and most of them were pretty decent.
Yeah, sometimes they overextended, but like it, you know,
you
can't be too mad at them for trying.
It was like, let's just take this idea and make it as hard as fucking humanly possible.
Well, here's the thing: they went from like 0 to 60 on that fucking writing bird idea. It's like they just introduced it, and then they want you to be a master at it.
Yeah,
almost
100%. Yes, I was complaining the same exact like sentiment when I was playing the game. I was like, okay, I just learned how to do this. Now they expect me to make this fucking 90-degree hairpoint turn on a last second, like to get around this bug. Like, what the fuck, dude? Yeah, I've done 2 platforms with this thing.
I have a question. Did any of you get to the 1970s world?
No. Absolutely no. There's like 3 1970 things in the game. And
I got one of them.
Or you lose it.
Yeah, I got one of them. And I was doing.
I got one too.
I got the early one. Of course.
Yeah, I got the one, and I didn't do it. I looked it up online. It's cute, but like I was like, I'm not going back, dog. I'm not.
Oh yeah, we didn't even mention like there was like a shit ton of secrets in every stage.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the secrets are mostly just like collecting things. Right?
Just collecting and like gathering points. Yeah.
But the bonus levels are cool, and we mentioned
levels are-
the bonus song is phenomenal. You know,
It might be
cheeky
weird to
and
play
voice,
behind
yeah.
us because it has vocals, so it'd be talking over us. But like, I don't know. Noah, could we just play it in its entirety at the end of the podcast?
Yeah, I'll put
That'd
it
be
in.
The music in the game though is pretty enjoyable. There's some songs that I was really getting into while I was playing through the game.
I mean, we talked a lot about the charm, but like, and like the visuals are obviously a huge component of it. But like, for me, the music was an equal amount. Just like,
Oh yes, for sure.
sometimes I would just stop and be like, "What's playing right now?" You know?
Yeah, that's exactly like the feeling I had. I can't remember what world it was. It was a random one where in the beginning it's not like you can barely hear anything, but then they start going into like sync and like you can hear the choir in the background. It's like, boom, boom, boom. It's like I can't remember what fucking level it was. I think it was like just after the bugs, like the bug levels.
Yeah, I think I know what you're talking about. It was enjoyable though.
Yeah. You just randomly start hearing
It just
these
hits
guys
you when
singing.
you're playing
Yeah.
the level, and you're like, okay, hey, I like this music. You know,
Yeah, exactly.
pretty good. So, some of them were forgettable, but other ones were really, really good. They tried to fit the theme of what was going on, just the humor in general, and it did a good job in that.
I mean, like you sort of said, Brandon, there was like I had seen Clayman mostly like online. It looks like people's avatars, but like having played it, like I can see. I mean, this is obviously very different than the first game, which is like an adventure game. But you can see why like people would still be attached to this character and like this weird world. Like you know,
I love the universe of the Neverhood. It's like I never played I've seen like my brother played the original, and I just watched them play. I was too young to play games at the time, but like because of the unique like art style and the claymation and everything, like it was stuck in my head. And then when I finally got to play Skullmonkeys, I was ecstatic. And they've recently came out with they did a Kickstarter, and they came out with Armorkrog, which is they went back to their roots, which is a point-and-click puzzle adventure, which I really enjoyed. That I played that too.
Oh, that's cool.
Miss
you
me
guys
with
have
the
any
action
thoughts?
adventure. Miss me with that adventure point and click. I'm gonna miss me with it real quick.
we're still reeling from Discworld in some ways. But
I'm scarred, man.
I mean, I will always be reeling from this world.
yeah. I did want to specifically say, because I looked up the 1970s thing, that the final level, part of that level, the background is just a man with his shirt unbuttoned all the way to the navel, just showing off his chest hair, and I was like, all right,
What?
game.
What?
No, thank you. No, thank
Because
you.
it's supposed to be like a 1970s like disco guy, like he's wearing that,
That's pretty good. I thought about doing it, because the game doesn't have a save feature, so it has this password feature.
Yeah.
As a lot of early PlayStation games did. I already forgot when I said this game came out, 1998. So I guess that's not really that early of a PlayStation game. So I don't really know why they didn't have memory card saves in this game, but nonetheless.
Well, it was like because the game was so short. It was like what, an hour 45 or something.
No.
If you
It took me
speed
like
run
4 or
it.
5 hours to beat this game.
I think that's.
I mean, if you like nail everything, it'll be like an hour 45.
Yeah.
Right? Like.
Yeah.
If you already know what's coming.
Yeah, pretty much.
I think this game should have had a save feature. It did have a password feature, and after you beat a level, it gives you one. But I feel like 1998 is like a little what the hell.
Yeah. It would be nice because I guess the thought might be, hey, we don't know if everyone will have memory cards at this point, right? But like at that point, 1998, most people did. But also like you can go back to specific levels. But then the game, like if you restart it, like you have to go from beginning to end to get all your collectibles counted, like we mentioned,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so it does seem a little weird and counterintuitive, but I mean.
Well, yeah. The thing was, I meant to look up a password to get to that 1970s level because I wanted to play it, but I forgot to do that. So I think I was just like so happy I beat the game, I just shut it off and was like, all right, I'm done with that.
Yeah.
But leading up to it, I was like, man, I know I'm not going to be able to get to it, so I'm sure I can find a code online to take a look at that 1970s level. But yeah, it was just I was done. When I was done, I was done.
Had a good time, but not ready to go back.
I had a good time, but see you later.
Had a good time until that fucking last jump.
Taxi fares on the end table for you.
Damn.
Oh lord.
Oh man, but it was it's an enjoyable game. It really is.
there's plenty
control
to like.
level. Control level aside, it's there is plenty to like here. I was gonna ask you guys, like besides the last level, I think I might get all the same answer from you. This game does have a lot of challenge. Like, what was the hardest part for you besides that last part?
I mean, we already invoked it, but for me it was the bird. That for me the bird was almost took more time than the last level did. Yeah. But that's maybe because I just had
the bird part had me intimidated for a while because I always thought that I was gonna miss it. I was not gonna make it. Like I was gonna make it to the edge, but I always managed to like actually make it. Mm-hmm. So once I got rid of like that fear of like I probably won't make it, then I was like, oh, okay, I can do this. This is doable, right. And I kind of got through it. Yeah. I would say there was some parts like not the vines themselves, but in the vine levels in the garden or the egg, one of the egg or level. I can't remember which one of the vines were. I think it was the eggs. There were these segments where like there were 4 or like 3 spike bugs that you can't jump on, circling the small platform, and without nukes. Like, I tried to do that part. Like, I tried to do that part without like, using items because I'm an item hoarder. Mm-hmm. And I could not get past it. I was like, at that point, I lost like 5 lives there. I was like, fuck it. I just nuked them all and just got past it.
Yeah, those enemies that you can't kill are really fucking annoying.
Mm. Yeah.
I mean, you can't kill without using an item.
Yeah.
I would say... there's I think the 4th level, the snow level. Mm-hmm. It's not hard on its own, but the fact that you can't exactly see how far, you can't see that far ahead, and there are enemies there that are shooting snowballs at you.
Mm.
Oh yeah.
That was kind of a problem. Like they could see me farther than I could see them.
Yeah.
Or if that makes sense.
That's why every time I jumped, I always ducked.
Duck is really useful in this game.
After a couple of times they called me off guard, I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna be cautious.
Yeah.
But still, like sometimes they still catch you, like fucking. You're not expecting it.
Like
you see
there
a
was
giant
that one part
snowball,
like 9 at you in a row.
Yeah. That really kind of fucked me up.
And like I mentioned earlier, but like the castle level with the red background, that may have just been my computer brightness was weird. So who knows?
No, that
was legit, like very dark. Like I said, I missed a couple of checkpoints on that level. I was like, I'm pretty far in the stage and I have not hit a checkpoint yet. And then just randomly jump and I hear, bah! And I'm like, oh, okay, there it is.
I will say, man, that the snow level also was kind of a pain in the ass for me, but I did notice something. I was playing through the game that we didn't even mention yet. There's when you get to the end of some of the not the main levels, but like the sections of the levels, or like the the levels, the worlds, whatever you want to call them. There's like a big clay ball, and sometimes there's 2 of them. One is just the normal brown. One is red.
Red, yeah.
So those red ones offer branching paths that are more challenging, which I found out afterwards. I had to look it up. I was like, why is there 2? Yeah. And I kept taking the red ones.
I did too for a while.
Oh, well, red's different. I'm going to take this one. But I found out that I was taking the more challenging path every single time I took that one.
Yeah, because in other levels, if you collected the 3 swirls, that's how you go to the bonus room, is you have like the normal exit in that one. So I thought, I must have done something to get the red thing. No, I was in fact choosing to do the hard part, which was...
Yeah. So I didn't realize this until I had beat the game, so it was far too late. But there was times too where I would get the other ball, because the red one, like, I would just see one and be like elated that I was done and be like, yeah, and I would jump into it, and by the time I jumped into it, I noticed the red ball was behind it. Yeah. I was like, oh no, I didn't get to choose. And I was like, oh well, whatever. So there was times where I did end up taking the easier path by complete accident.
Yeah.
So guys, you have anything else that we didn't cover that you guys wanted to talk about real quick?
I'd say the hitboxes of some of the enemies are a little off. or maybe
I did want to mention that. You're right.
Yeah.
And the ledges are a little off too.
Yeah, right on the edge. I found is can be problematic, where you just kind of you're like, I swear I got on the edge of that platform, but I fell.
And I think part of that has to do with the whole like claymation thing and the sort of like pre-rendered stuff. Is that like they had this object, they didn't quite like code it to be one-to-one with the visual of the object. You know, it's much harder than if it's just like a Mario platform that's very clearly like, you know, a tile.
Yeah, and there's no grabbable ledges or anything, so if you don't hit it right, it'll just fall through.
Yeah, but sometimes you think you're gonna hit it and you just fall.
Yeah.
No, I had that kill me a couple times too.
And it kind of just makes you think you're going insane, which is a problem.
Yeah.
I felt that a lot in the last level, those platforms.
Yeah. Because some of them are super thin too.
It all comes back to the last level.
Yeah.
Man, oh man.
I mean, at least it's like the very, very, very last jump. Once you pass it, you're done. You did the best.
Yeah. Well, I mean that the ledges being messed up, or goes throughout. It's not a prevalent problem where it's happening all the time, but it's there throughout the game here and there.
Yeah, most of the time it doesn't really bother you, but when they're asking you to do very precise jumps, it can be an issue.
Yeah. Okay. Anybody else? I feel like I touched all the. We got the graphics, we got the music, platforming, the story that is there, but barely. And it's not a game, and it's not like a game that needs it. Not every game needs a thorough story that you have to, backstory with all these rich, deep characters, which there honestly probably is here that, we don't.
Clearly, there was a character coming back from the first game, but we had no recollection of that,
Right, but yeah, we don't. It's not needed. This game, it's like Mario. You don't need it. It's just there. They give you a goal, and you go do it. That's it.
Well, they do. I mean, they do give you those cutscenes that are pretty nice. So.
Yeah, the cutscenes are nice.
The cutscenes are extremely divorced from the rest of the game too, right? Like, there's the part with the minigun where I was like, "This is like a hint at like an upcoming enemy," or like, no, it was just
Or he eats I think it was like a potato, and he just breaks out in hives.
Yeah, it was like a root. Yeah.
Yeah, you're like, all right. That was gross.
All right. Yeah.
Okay, well, I guess we're gonna move on to suggestions.
Recommendations.
Recommendations? Jeez, Louise. I don't know what I'm saying here. But yeah, recommendations. Would you recommend this game to somebody who was thinking about playing it? We're gonna start with Noah.
Yes, 100%. It's a very unique, visually pleasing, and entertaining in general with the cutscenes and everything. It's just. If you like stuff like that, like cartoony, kind of like goofy platformers or goofy games in general, like you should definitely pick this up as one of my favorites.
All right. Ilse.
Yeah, for the most part, yeah. Like I said, it has like a little bit of issue with the difficulty spikes. For the most part, yeah. So
sure.
We said it all.
Okay. Will?
Yeah, I mean, I think with a game like this, how much you are into the quirk of it matters a lot, right? Like, if you look at this and you're like, oh, this looks charming, then, like, you'll have a good time. So I would guess maybe, like, look up because I think they have, like, all the cutscenes on YouTube. Watch, like, the first one, and if you're like, you know what? This looks neat, then yeah, play it. Because I think that's the strongest part of the game, in my mind.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I would say yes too. I would give the fair warning that it's not going to be easy. So if you're not good at platformers, maybe I have another game for you. But that's not this one. But if you like platformers and you say, hey, I'm looking for something that I haven't played before that's pretty good, I'd say yeah, definitely give this game a try. It's pretty solid, and the art style and music and the humor speak for itself, and those I think can carry it a long way. So it's pretty enjoyable. It's just it's gonna be pretty tough a little bit. So just prepare for that. All right, but the real test of how good this game is gonna come right now when we put Skullmonkeys on the list.
The list.
Noah, you picked this game. Tell me where you think it belongs on the list.
Oh, jeez,
Also,
I have no idea.
before you tell me, why don't you check out the description down below if you're listening and see the paste bin. There's going to be a paste bin link, and you're going to be able to follow along with us while we talk about the list. And this is where we're going to rank the game with all the games that we have on there so far. There's all the Game Club games we played, plus the games that we add every week on our regular episodes. So make sure you follow along down there so you're not confused at what the hell we're talking about. So yeah, Noah, take it away.
I'm going up. Hang on.
It's going up.
Of course I'm going up.
Going up.
Be prepared.
I don't know, really.
So clench our collective butt cheeks.
I won't go past that. I don't know, in the 60s or 50s? I don't know, what do you guys think?
We asked you.
I think everybody has trouble right now.
I mean, this is gonna be a big split. So
Yeah, I wanted at least above. I wanted above Oddworld. I wanted above Mario 3D Land. There's no other platforms to compare it to, really. I don't know, 58, 57. Around there. What do you think?
Okay. I'm going to say I don't agree with that. I don't know how these guys are feeling. But I was thinking more... Like
I was thinking like below Cave Story.
Where's Cave Story?
Yeah, like I was
Like
looking around
73?
that same area. Like I think it's better than Oddworld, but like, not better than Fire Emblem: The Binding Blade, maybe, and maybe not better than Cave Story. Yeah, I don't know how. What about? Yeah, so I guess me and Will are looking around the same area. I don't know about Ills though.
Shit. I think I would put it in between Bulletstorm and Oddworld. I think the problem is, I mean, I like this game, and I like Bulletstorm too. But the problem is, I don't think Bulletstorm had the same kind of issues that this game did.
Sure.
If that
It's funny
makes
because in some ways they're almost inverses, right? Like I didn't love a lot of the presentation of Bulletstorm, and like I didn't find like the characters particularly charming. But like when I was like shooting, I was like I'm having a good time, and like I had a fine time playing Skullmonkeys, but like you said already, the world and the characters were the things that I walked away with the most.
Yeah, those are definitely the best parts of it.
Yeah.
There's just a lot of good presentation in the game.
I mean, I think I also like Until Dawn more at least, so I'd be fine with below Bulletstorm.
Me too, and I like it above Oddworld.
Yeah.
Because it also kind of reminds me of Oddworld in a way.
It does remind me of Oddworld, but
Yeah,
I
they're
think
similar.
yeah, but
Yeah.
I think this game was a bit more enjoyable to me.
Yeah, it's more fun for me to play than Oddworld. It's got more
Control over your character.
Yeah, more control over your character.
Yeah.
Plays looser. It's more of an a regular 2D action platformer. Than Oddworld was kind of like a puzzle platformer.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, I agree with that.
Noah?
All right. Well, you guys 3-1, so I can't really say much.
No, I mean make an argument.
Like, do you think it?
Oh, I mean, just it's like the controls weren't even like that hindering to the point where it was like you guys were still able to like play it and navigate through the levels just fine, except for when it was really needed.
I don't think anybody said the controls were bad.
Well, not bad, but like, well, that was like the issue you guys were mainly pointing at.
Yeah.
Not the controls, the feel of the character, like the slipperiness. I don't think that does that count as part of the controls?
Well, I
Yeah,
guess.
I mean, it depends.
But
Like,
I feel like especially like when it comes to the overall package, like the art style, the goofiness, the humor, the music, the sound, like bring it up much, like should push the quality of the game like way beyond that.
I mean,
Like especially how unique it is in like in terms of like other platformers.
Oh, well, are you gonna say something?
Oh, I mean, at least for me, the sort of my thing on it was that like the environments, like we talked a lot about this game already, but even when the levels were like good and like I was enjoying them, I was never like, man, this is a masterclass in levels. This is just these are totally decent levels, right? They're good, right? Mm-hmm. But there was I never like they were like, oh, that was like a great level design from any perspective, in my view. And I think that Cave Story has a couple levels that like are truly great. I think that I really enjoy a lot, and so like that's why I originally said that. But then looking at things like Limbo and Until Dawn, that's where those things. This is more apples to oranges, so it's harder. And Bulletstorm, but like I think that Bulletstorm, I don't know.
I think the random difficulty spikes really kind of put a dent in your gameplay. Like, I don't know. In my enjoyment of the game, like suddenly running up against the wall out of nowhere just kind of like slowed everything down considerably.
Yeah. I think if it was like a wall that you kind of had, this is a weird like comparison, I guess, but if it's a wall that you struggled a bit to get over and you got over it and felt good, but you can keep moving past it. But like, yeah, you like fucking run headfirst into this wall, and then you look up and the wall's fucking huge, and you're like, I don't know, man, this is a pain,
I don't know, like,
so you resent it by the time you're done with it.
A little bit. Yeah, I mean, I think that's my thing is that like I said I love all the presentation stuff, but whenever the game presents the barrier, the presentation's sort of the first thing that falls to the wayside, and you're sort of left to bear with like, okay, like some of the underlying problems become the focus, and I think that's why it sort of sticks out in your brain more than if there was none of that, and it was just a sort of breezy game. The things that the game excels at, I think, would be even stronger in my mind.
Well, not necessarily, like, it didn't necessarily have to be breezy, just like have the difficulty build,
sure,
in a logical sense, and then not have the controls like be imprecise when the demand of the game is very precise.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, it's something that like a masterclass like game developer like Nintendo will show you how to introduce an idea and then just do it in the best way where it keeps getting a little bit more difficult, and they just are just so good at it. And it's hard to pull off. It's amazing to me how they do it. So, I don't think this game does it as, obviously nearly as well. They just they come up with cool, unique ideas, but then they're like, all right, so we thought of this idea. What if we did like this and made it like really fucking hard, but you're going to do it right now that we introduced it? And you're like, hold up.
Yeah.
It's actually above, like, this spot would be above Tumba. I think Tumba is a decent comparison to it.
Yeah.
I mean, it is. Tumba has like almost
spikes.
Tumba, it's not really claymation, but it kind of looks like a weird similar art style.
Sure.
Yeah, and it's also like platformer heavy.
And I think that this game is probably stronger than Tumba, because I think Tumba has some similar problems that this game has.
Tumba has some problems where you're like, what do I do now? Kind of like confusing. You get these items and you're like, I gotta figure out where the fuck to use it. Yeah. Tumba's so weird. It's like it's a 2D platformer, but also like a weird like collectathon RPG, like fetch quest type of. It's so weird.
There's perhaps too much going on in Tumba, right? Like
it's very ambitious, but it has its issues.
So you guys said below Bulletstorm or above Bulletstorm?
Below.
I still think below. I think below, but above Oddworld for sure.
Okay.
That works for me.
Okay, so that's gonna put it at number. Hold up. Look at where the number that is. Number 76 on the list. Which puts it into some good territory, some good games that we talked about a little bit. It's going to put number 74, Until Dawn. Number 75, Bulletstorm. Full clip edition that we played here on the Game Club a little while back. Number 76 now, Skullmonkeys. Number 77, new and tasty Oddworld Abe's Odyssey. Also a Game Club game. Also a Noah game. Noah also picked that game as well. Number 78, Toomba. Also a PS1 game. Yeah. That is the list portion of our show. And that's going to kind of wrap us up here. But before we leave, we need to just shout out to everybody listening and let them know that we have social media that you could follow us on. We have Facebook, Instagram. I almost said Snapchat for some reason. We don't have a Snapchat. We have a Facebook, we have an Instagram, and we have a Twitter. You can follow us on those to see when episodes are going to go up. And maybe other stuff. I post pictures on Instagram here and there, and sometimes tweet about things. So follow us, interact with us, tell us what you like. What video game have you been playing? Tell us about that. Tell us what you've been playing, and maybe say, hey, check this game out. Maybe we will. And we also have a Twitch, twitch.tv/JumpOffSupercast, where we play video games sometimes here and there as well. And you can also interact with us there. Just come by, say hi if you see us. Make sure you follow us so you can know when we're live, and you can talk. We'll talk about video games. We can talk about video games all fucking day. We really could. That's no exaggeration. It's pretty much all we do. But I feel like I'm missing the social media here. I'm just really blanking out. We have another damn show. The Jump Up Supercast, the regular episodes. Those go up every single Monday, and we just talk about the news and video games. So if you want to know what's going on in the world of games, what games are coming up. We recently made a hype list in the last episode. Games that were, we just talked about. We added more games to the hype list. So it's actually a recent new thing. What games we're really most excited for. Talk about that. Talk about game news. We add games to the list every week. It's a fun time. Come listen, hang out. It's going to be fun. Leave comments. We really appreciate everybody listening. But before we go, this is the Game Club, so we need to play another game. And it's come back around to your boy, me, the host. It's my turn. And I'm excited. I'm really excited. I gotta say, 2D platformers. This was one, and I'm a big fan of 2D platformers. They're really fun. And I think it's easily one of my favorite genres. So I want to play another one.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, boy.
They say... There's a lot to say about 2D platformers, but here on the Game Club, they say life is like a hurricane. Here on the Game Club,
oh god,
race cars, lasers, airplanes. It's a game hub. We might solve a mystery, or we might rewrite history. We're gonna be playing DuckTales. Woo!
Yay!
That's the next game that we're playing. DuckTales. Woo! We're gonna be playing the original NES one.
Oh,
not the remake. Sorry, wait.
Damn it!
I already played the remake. So good.
You already played the remake? Well,
yeah.
I wanted to play the original.
Remake. I want to go back. We haven't played an NES game on the damn Game Club. It's time. We're gonna play DuckTales. So, in 2 weeks, join us back, and we're gonna talk about DuckTales on the NES. And I want to say thank you guys for joining me today. Thank you, Noah. Thank you, Ills. Thank you, Will. Appreciate it. And thank you, everybody, for listening. Go out there, play some video games, and be nice.
Here's a little bonus room, 'cause I know you've had it tough. And here's a little bonus tune about collecting real cool stuff. Yes, here's a little bonus room where you can play. Don't be frightened, don't run away. You can linger, 'cause I'm your video friend. Think of me as a father figure with a hand to lend. Here's a little bonus room where you don't have to worry. Take your sweet time, you need not hurry. Oh, you're looking incredible, you're the bomb. And me, I'm kinda like your dad. and a little like your mom. There are no monsters here. Hey, wait, look over there. I was just kidding. Don't be scared. And when you turn this game off in the real world once again, you won't have to play make-believe or try to pretend. 'Cause I'll be right there when you open your hand. 'Cause I'm your little invisible musical friend. So show me to your pets or show me to your pals. You really will impress every nifty guy and gal. Show them you're individual. Show them you are bold. Besides, I get residuals for every game that's sold. I'm your little invisible musical friend for life.